Hi everyone, Jason from Iron Fence Shop. If you're in the market for an iron, steel, or aluminum fence, you're probably getting overwhelmed by all the different options out there. How do you make sure you're getting a quality fence when all you have to go off of is prices and pictures? Today I wanted to go over 5 key items to look for when buying an iron, steel, or aluminum fence to make sure that you're getting a quality product and to help make you a more educated shopper. The first key item to look for when shopping for a fence line is what kind of protective finish it has on the outside. Everything looks nice and shiny when it's presented and brand new. However, a little research on your end will make sure that that protective finish looks good for decades to come. Now, in researching your finish, it's going to be a little bit different depending if you're looking at an iron or steel fence or an aluminum fence. Now, when looking at an iron or steel fence, you want to not only look at that outer protective finish, but also what goes under the finish. Bare steel and bare iron will rust when exposed to air. Aluminum will not. It's for that reason you want to make sure that there's also a protective finish under the outer coating to ensure you're going to have a good finish for decades to come. Our Stronghold Iron product line utilizes hot dip galvanization for protective coating under that final finish. Now, many manufacturers will take a little bit of a shortcut and use an e-coating process over galvanization. Now, while the e-coating process is protective, it's not nearly as thick or as effective as the galvanization process. Again, these are little aspects that don't seem like much when you're purchasing the fence, but they go a long way in how well your fence is going to look and perform for decades to come. Now, outside of making sure you have a protective coating underneath for any iron or steel fence, you also want to make sure whether it's iron, steel, or aluminum, you pay attention to the details of what the protective outer finish is going to be comprised of. We recommend not going with any pieces that are painted. While paint can be a durable finish, it's a very expensive and timely process that's not usually applied correctly when used on fencing and gate pieces. We recommend going the powder coating route. Not only is it more durable, but it gets a much more even finish on everything. Regardless if you're looking at our Stronghold Iron or Infinity Aluminum line, we utilize what's called a TGIC powder coating. This TGIC powder coat resists shrinking, cracking, and spider webbing a lot better than many other powder coats on the market. We also utilize in our TGIC powder coating a UV fade inhibitor. This makes sure that your fence will have a nice, deep, black, beautiful color for decades to come. Powder coats not utilizing a UV fade inhibitor often start turning gray, chalking, and look generally pretty degraded after only maybe 5 to 10 years of sun exposure. Lastly, in addition to what kind of final finish is used, you want to look into how it's applied. The best material in the world isn't going to perform at all if it's applied over a dirty, untreated piece of metal. We put both our Stronghold Iron and our Infinity Aluminum through a 4-stage wash process, going through and taking care of any impurities, and treat it to make sure that it's got a good, prepared surface for your powder coating to adhere to and to give you decades of lasting beauty. The next key item to look at when shopping for a fence online is the fence construction, or how it's all put together. Now, this is another area where manufacturers can take shortcuts to cut the price down, but can also impact the quality and longevity of your fence. The first construction item you want to take a look at is how your pickets and rails meet. This is a very key component of how your fence panels are going to go together and how strong they're going to be going forward. Now, on a high quality line like our Stronghold Iron and our Infinity Aluminum, you're going to see here what's called a punched rail system. Basically, this punched rail means that the railing here is punched and the picket is fed up through it. It's then either welded from the bottom like our Stronghold Iron piece here, or it's screwed through like our Infinity Aluminum. Now, it's important you get that kind of a construction aspect because it makes the picket part of the actual foundation of the fence. It kind of reinforces the backbone of it, giving you a stronger fence panel. What some of our manufacturers will do is called what's a layover style. Basically, you have your upright picket and they just lay a piece of flat bar over the front of it here, laying it over the picket. It's a poor construction technique for 2 reasons. One, it looks terrible. It looks okay from one side and completely ugly from the other side. So you don't want a fence that only looks good on one face. Our Stronghold Iron and Infinity Aluminum look good from either side. The other issue is just strength. When you don't have that railing helping support the fence panel at all, it's going to be much easier to bend, deflect, or even crack the piece when you push on the center of the fence panel. When looking for a quality constructed steel or iron fence, a welded construction is key. What you want to avoid are iron and steel pieces that are riveted or screwed together. A main component of a fully welded construction is that everything is welded, hence the fully welded. What you want to avoid, or what some of our competitors will do, well, they'll take a picket and rail connection and do a partial weld. The reason they do this is so that you can rack the panel to follow grade. This sounds great in practice, but what really happens is when you bend that tab and the weld flexes with it, your finish can crack and pop off, or worse, you can break the connection altogether. It's for this reason we recommend when you're looking at something heavy like steel and iron, you go with a fully welded construction that makes for a tough, stout piece. Lastly, when looking at the construction of a high-quality steel or iron fence, you want to look into the hardware utilized to hang the fence panel from the post itself. Now, what many of our competitors will do is use a stamped steel L bracket or bracket that wraps around the post. These are often flimsy and not really that appealing in terms of looks. Now on our Stronghold Iron line of fence products, we utilize what's called a cast iron bracket. This piece is actually poured in as molten metal and cast in one solid thick piece like this. Now our cast iron pieces basically go onto the edge of the rail as such. So you have a nice clean piece that encompasses all sides of the railing and fits flush up against your post for a nice clean look that integrates with the post and fence panel rather than looking like an add-on piece just hanging it there in space. Now if you're looking for quality construction in an aluminum fence, there's a few other items you want to look at in addition to that punched railing we mentioned earlier on. These are a few areas again where manufacturers can take shortcuts to make that price look more appealing but give you a lesser quality piece in the process. And they are your post to panel connection, your actual fence panel railing, and if the piece comes fully assembled. Let's go ahead and start if the panel comes fully assembled. Now what some manufacturers of aluminum fence will do is offer an assembled and an unassembled price. As the name connotates, assembled means you get the panel ready to go, unassembled means it's coming to you in pieces. Now while this sounds like it might be a good way to save a couple bucks, it's actually a lot of work and can really end up giving a lesser quality piece. Let's take an average aluminum fence panel. Basically you're going to have around 15 pickets and roughly 3 screw connections per picket. So for every fence panel you get unassembled, that's 45 screw connections you've got to make. Doesn't sound so bad, but multiply that over say just a small project with 10 fence panels, that's 450 screw connections you have to make. That's a lot of time and a lot of effort to only save a couple bucks. The other problem you run into is that you're going to have to feed those pickets through your punched rail. Now depending on how well they punch that rail, it's very easy to scuff and scrape your finish while trying to put it together. So while unassembled for a few less bucks sounds great, in the end we find them to usually be a lower quality fence panel, and it's for that reason we always say when buying an aluminum fence, look that it's fully assembled when you get it. The next key component of a quality aluminum fence is how the railing is manufactured. The railing are going to be your horizontal pieces on the fence panel that go across and that your pickets are fed through. Now with aluminum being a lighter metal that can more easily bend than steel and iron, you want to make sure this is a well-built, properly extruded and reinforced piece that will not only look nice, but also hold up to abuse over the years. Now if you take a look at our Infinity aluminum piece over here, you'll see that on our horizontal railing we utilize what's called a bevel or a scallop here. You'll see it not only gives it a much more nicer appearance, but that beveling or scalloping actually reinforces that railing much more to give you a much better bend resiliency and a much stronger piece overall. Now what I have here is a piece of our competitor's aluminum fence, and this really represents probably about 99% of the aluminum fence market. Now if you take a look at their railing, you'll see that it's simply squared off, much plainer looking, much more builder's grade, and it's also not going to have any additional reinforcement. Compare that to our Infinity aluminum, which has a much nicer looking rail that's not only going to look beautiful, but also give you a lot more bend resiliency than that squared off edge that once it bends is going to pinch and fold the entire panel. Now with an aluminum fence of any kind, the construction is going to be basically your fence panel railing fitting inside a punch on the post. Now if you look here at my Infinity aluminum post, you'll see that we have a nice clean routed punch on the post here that matches the contour of my fence panel railing exactly. This makes not only for a nice tight connection, but make sure there's no gap underneath there either. Now what I have here is a fence post representative of pretty much every other aluminum fence manufacturer on the market. As you can see, it's just basically a big honking square hole punched in the thing without a whole lot of thought in terms of contouring to the railing itself. Not only does that make for a looser, uglier connection, but when your railing goes inside here, it's going to leave a gap underneath if you look at the shape of the rail. Here you can see that that rail is going to have a gap underneath where that hole is still present. The problem with that becomes it's a prime real estate location for stinging insects like wasps and bees, to the point there's even items on the market for plugging that hole up. So for a high quality aluminum fence post to panel connection, look at something like our Infinity aluminum here where it's routed to actually match the shape of the fence panel for a nice tight connection and clean look. The next key item to look for when shopping for a high quality steel, iron, or aluminum fence is looking into the specifications. These specifications are going to show the sizes and thicknesses of the components used within your fence and gate materials. This is another area where a cheaper priced fence panel can look the same as a more expensive piece, but actually be hiding a lot of differences in quality. If you pay 10% less for a panel that's 50% as thick as its competition, you're actually paying more and getting less materials in the long run. It's for this reason paying some close attention to the specifications can help you when shopping for a high quality piece. We have our full fence and gate specifications online at all times that you can download from our Knowledge Center or request from us in email. You want to watch out for places that don't give you any kind of full specs or abbreviated specs. When they're doing that, chances are they don't want you to be able to see everything so you can do a true apples to apples comparison and see the shortcuts they're taking to give you that lower price. Also, be careful not to fall into the trap that thinking a more expensive fence panel is a higher quality fence panel with better components. I recently worked with a customer on a large commercial project who got in contact with us for a quote after receiving one from our competitor. He actually got back in contact because my price had come in much less than another one he had. He called because he figured at the lesser price I was offering, it must be a lower quality fence or there's some shortcut being made that we were selling it for less than the competing quote he had from another source. Turns out when we started looking at the specifications, my Stronghold Iron Signature grade fence actually had a 50% thicker picket and a much thicker railing going through with finials welded on top and a longer warranty. Needless to say, after that conversation, he went ahead and placed the order with us and ended up with a much higher quality fence at a much lower price. It pays to do your homework and look at those specification details when shopping online for a fence. The next key item when shopping for a fence online is what kind of warranty do they offer. Typically, everyone offers a warranty for their fence, but you want to look closely at how long it's good for and what it exactly covers. Our Stronghold Iron line carries a 25-year warranty, which is the longest in the industry, and our Infinity Aluminum line carries a limited lifetime warranty for as long as you own the fence. Just as important as the length of the warranty, you also want to do a little bit of research and see exactly what it does cover. Just as important as the length of the warranty, you want to make sure there's no hidden stipulations in there either. Some of our competitors will have hidden stipulations where the fence may not be covered the same length of time that the gates are. We've seen others that won't cover the fence and warranty if it's not installed by an authorized dealer. Be careful to look at the details and see exactly what's getting covered. Don't be afraid to ask how often claims are filed or what happens when one is. I can tell you from my experience here at 7 years of working at Iron Fence Shop that I've yet to see a warranty claim on our Stronghold Iron or Infinity Aluminum line of products. This last key item can be a little bit trickier, but it's very important when shopping online, and that's who am I dealing with? Every company likes to say they've got the best customer service in the world and you'll never be taken care of better anywhere else. However, do they really have anything to back that up? Here at Iron Fence Shop, we're a member of the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating. You can also go on our Knowledge Center and look under testimonials and see many glowing reviews from customers as well as completed project pictures showing how happy they've been with not only the buying experience, but our fence materials as well. But beyond ratings and reviews and testimonials and things like that, who's the person you're really dealing with on the other end of the line there? Is it just an hourly clerk regurgitating information out of a catalog who really doesn't know anything about the fence except where to look in the catalog to answer generic questions? Or is it an experienced salesperson that can answer a variety of questions, concerns, anything you may want to know about the fence installation, the buying process, everything from A to Z? For instance, if you give us a call here, chances are you're actually going to get me on the other end of the line. I've been working at Iron Fence Shop for 7 years now, and I can honestly say I think I've had just about any question I can think of tossed to me at one time or another. As you can see from these videos, our blog, our Knowledge Center, our willingness to really put that information out there, we really know our products forwards and backwards. If you come in with a question, we're going to likely have an answer for you. In addition to answering any question you can come up with, you can also ensure that you're going to get the right product for us in the right quantity. With my experience working in the industry, I can honestly say I've had a 99.99999% accuracy rate in terms of the materials I sell people for their projects. And I'm pretty sure that 0.00001% is just my boss not wanting me to have a swelled ego. But all kidding aside, I'm hardly a rock star here. Honestly, I'm really the status quo. We've got a great sales staff here that's very personable, very knowledgeable, and is here to help. We want to make sure you not only get a quality product, but feel confident that you're getting the right materials and are going to be happy when they arrive at your home. I hope this video has helped educate you on what to look for when shopping for a quality iron, steel, or aluminum fence. There's a lot of options out there and you want to be careful not to just shop on price and looks alone. As the saying goes, if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. Saving a couple $100 now isn't going to be much in the long run when you're replacing that fence in 5 years versus getting a quality fence now that's going to last you a lifetime. If you had any other questions about our fences or wanted us to compare them to some you're looking online, give us a call at 800-261-2729 or shoot us an email at sales@ironfenceshop.com. We look forward to hearing from you and we're here to help.